What's up, everyone? I am the Warmonger, and today I'm going to be showing you how to rush a religious reformation on a small controlled area for a tribal ruler. And I don't know what this is actually called. We're going to try to do it in the first lifetime. I'm going to call it the Messiah Rush, but I'm sure that there is a name for that in the community. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So what we're actually going to do is I'm going to start here with Daurama Daura. And the reason I want to do that, I will show you as soon as we get into the game here. So if we go ahead and look at the achievements here, we can see that there's this one way down here called the Mother of Us All. And for that, we need to actually reform the African pagan faith and convert all counties in Africa to do so. And of course, the faster we can reform the faith, the better for us. Now, actually, all you have to do is just reform one little piece of that faith. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to do the most expensive reformation we can actually do, so that just to show you that it is possible to do whatever you want for your religion within a single lifetime of a character. So though 750 is the most expensive I can charge for any of these, it doesn't really matter which ones they are in this case, but they are the most expensive. And then if we go to the main doctrines, we're just going to keep choosing the most expensive that I see all the way down. Okay, and so now we see that the cost right here is 7,000, and that is an incredible amount of piety. Some that you'll probably never reach to in a single lifetime, though it is possible. It's just very, very hard. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go into this learning lifestyle. Now, this character is currently focused on the diplomacy lifestyle, but we're actually going to have to go down the learning, because if you look here, if you go all the way down the left side of this tree, we have profit, which faith creation reformation costs reduced by 50%. Now that is going to be very, very valuable for what we're trying to achieve here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the theology focus. And then instead of going down this tree first, we're actually going to go down this whole of body tree so that we can live longer and get more piety in our lifetime, and then go down this tree second, because it's actually going to take a long time even just to get that 50% piety that we need for the reformation that we're trying to do. And if we go back to the diplomacy side here, we can see that the traits that they were given at random, this can actually change every time, are actually pretty okay. I would wish that this was actually this groom to rule instead, but it's not bad enough to where I want to reset the perks. So this is a pretty good start for us here. Now, one thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to expand very quickly so that we can increase basically all of our earnings for every single resource we have here. It's going to make it much, much easier for us in the end. And it's going to make it easier to convert everyone to our religion, because we'll have control of those regions. So if we look around at the regions around us, so we can't attack here. They are our allies, and they are quite a big region with a very strong military. But if we look here, they are a very weak military, and then here as well. So either one of these is okay to attack. I'm actually going to attack Gober first, just because it's just one county and it's a very fast success. So let's go ahead and declare war here, and we're going to conquer the county. And then we're going to raise our army, and then we're going to attack, of course. Now, something here that it shows as a problem is that we don't actually have a player heir. We don't have anyone to inherit our kingdom. Of course, for this specific person, it does get resolved within the game very quickly. But if you ever come to this situation, what you're going to want to do is try to have them get a child very, very fast. But for this case, it's going to be okay, because the game will give us an option in a bit. Right now, in fact, they're going to let us choose to either let our sister-in-law become the new heir to the kingdom, or to allow us to choose our son. And I'm actually going to choose our son, because what I can actually do now is I can educate him, and I have a lot of control over what traits he gets growing up. That is going to be very, very valuable for later on if you're trying to do this achievement. So, of course, we win that fight fairly easily, and once we gain control of this area, we're going to win the war, because there are 3 scenarios that allow you to win a war. One of them is to control all of their land, one of the others is to capture their ruler, and the last is to win a number of battles and control a number of their land. So this person only controlled 1 county, so it's very easy, of course, to win that battle. We have an option here. We can, of course, go to war again, and as we looked here, this person is a very, very weak military. So that is actually a very good option. But we could also look up here, who also has a weak military, though not quite as weak as this person's. So we're actually going to go to war here, and it's going to allow us to gain a lot of land very quickly. And I'm going to move my military spawn point up here actually, so that I have less time to travel and in the end spend less money doing so. So we're going to do that, and he's going to try to go around and attack one of my own settlements because he doesn't want to take my military head on. Unfortunately for him, I am going to finish the siege very quickly and be able to challenge him, hopefully before he finishes the siege, though it does look like he is doing it quite fast. And just like that, we are done with this, so we can go and attack him. And of course, we should win this battle fairly easily, of course. And now we can go attack his capital. And we win the battle again, and with that we are actually able to just enforce our demands immediately. So now we actually control a decent amount of land, but if you look at this side over here, we're actually at our domain limit before we start getting some negatives for controlling too much land. And what we want to do is we actually want to create a duchy based on the land controlled right here, because if we give land to anybody right now, since our highest title is a county, we're going to accidentally create a entirely new government for them, and then we'll have to recapture that area. So if we create a duchy first, they will just answer to us, and then we won't have to worry too much about it. And then as we can see, my sister-in-law can actually marry. So what I want to do is I want to look at people who have some claims so that their children actually have an opportunity to take control of some things on their own. So it looks like I have some pretty good options here, though this person has many, many more claims than some of these other people. So I think I'm going to go with this. And now, so what we actually want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and try to attack this, either this side or this side next. But the thing is, since I've already gone to war against this person, I'm not going to be able to do that because we have a truce. So I'm just going to go down here and attack this person here, who is in fact very, very, very weak. So it should be a very easy victory. So let's go ahead and declare war. And then I'm going to move my spawn point once again over here and raise that army up. And then we're going to go over here and do so. And just win the war pretty simply. Now, we do sometimes get some of these opportunities here. Usually you're going to want to choose what gives you the most learning lifestyle experience. Sometimes you might want to choose the one that gives you more piety, but in this case we're going to choose this one so that we can finish out our trees as quickly as possible. And it looks like we have another child, which is very, very good for us. So if our child does end up dying, we do have an heir in line after him. So of course we win the war. All right, and we are going to enforce the demands. And I'm going to disband my army, but you can of course see here that now I have exceeded my domain limit. And unfortunately for us, we're not going to have quite enough money yet to create this duchy. We need 125, and we're at 76 gold. So what can we do about that? Well, we can in fact do what's called a raid. So I'm going to let my military build itself back up again, and then I'm going to raise them as raiders so that they can go around and collect gold from some of these other places. And I did get a lifestyle experience now, so we're going to go ahead and choose this one first. And now that we have that perk, it's going to allow us to get a court physician for cheap. I recommend always having a court physician. I only waited so that I could get that perk and reduce the cost. And it shows that we have low county control. Of course, that is going to be a problem. For every time you conquer an area, they're generally going to have this low county control. And you can note by this open lock on the side here. So what we do about that is we go to our council and we choose the marshal to lock down an area. Now I'm going to choose Gober first, and then I'm going to go downwards, but hopefully by the time this is done, these will be much, much more under control just passively. All right, and it looks like my military has been built up enough that I can raise them as raiders, and we're going to go ahead and attack. Now, one thing to note is if you're going to raid, you need to check for these recently raided markers, because that means that they can't be raided until sometime in the future. So there'd be no point for me moving my units down here to this specific county because I cannot raid it since it's been raided recently. But fortunately for me, some of these haven't, such as this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and raid this one first. So it looks like someone tried to murder me, which is very, very bad. And I can't really do much about it. So I guess I'm just going to have to live with it and hope that they are never successful again. Now, normally, if you get any of these, you're going to want to choose the one that increases your chance of finishing your Reformation. So that's, for us, is going to be this one right here. And unfortunately, we lost there, but it is what it is, and it does happen sometimes. All right, so we just raided that area. And of course, every time you raid, You do get all the benefits from raiding as soon as your army crosses into your own territory. So just by passing through here to raid this area above, we are in fact going to get all of the rewards for what we just raided. And if we look here, we can see that it was 15 gold and 15 prestige. Not bad. And it looks like they would like to pay me 25 gold to return my rival. So let's go ahead and do that. I could use the gold. Now we're only 2 gold away from being able to create this duchy, which is really, really good for us. So let's go ahead and bring back the loot from this area. And with that, we're actually able to create our duchy. So let's go ahead and do that. Create the title. Yes. And then also it looks like we have the ability to ransom some people off. So let's go ahead and do that. And then also if we go here and we look at our prisoners, we have quite a lot and we are low on champions. So normally what I like to do is check to see if they will give me any gold for releasing them, and they will not. And then what I like to do is see if I can convert them to my religion or gain a weak hook and recruit them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And of course, since we have created our duchy, we can now give some land over to other people. Now, of course, the duchy that we created is this Kebi duchy, so we don't really want to give up too much land in here. But it is okay to give up some land in this Gober region. So let's go ahead and look at this zone here, and we're going to grant this to somebody who is not going to have a claim directly on our duchy, but is going to be loyal to us as well. So let's go ahead and give it to my half-sister here, because her husband also, remember, has a lot of claims, so they can now kind of pursue those claims on their own. And it looks like I am unable to disband this because there's hostile armies too close. And whenever you give someone a title and they were on your council, they actually leave your council. It's not that big of a deal because you can of course just assign them again if you wanted to, but in this case I actually want to give it to this person since their intrigue is so much higher than the person that was there before. And I don't want to get assassinated. That would be very bad for this achievement. Now we're going to go ahead and disband the army here, but our new goal is now to just gain control of as much land as we can in this area, and then we're going to use that to, of course, increase our piety acquisition, and then we are going to use that to reform the religion. And it says now that I can vassalize him, so that is actually fantastic. That's a much easier way of gaining control of this area than just straight up attacking him. I like that much better. So we're going to vassalize him. Perfect. And now we can actually move either to the left, down, or up. Now if we look at the armies here, he has 1100, he has 879, he has 415, he has 413. So it looks like this bottom part is going to be much easier to attack. So let's go ahead and declare war here. And now we're given another option, so we're going to choose the one that is going to give us more experience and increase our learning by 1, but cost us a little bit more. No problem. And he can keep attacking me all he wants, but he's just going to get wrecked every single time. And of course we win the war, so we enforce our demands and we disband our military, and we're going to do it again as soon as our military increases itself a little bit. Another thing that we need to look out for as well is these men-at-arms. Let's go ahead and create a new men-at-arms group, and I'm just going to choose the light footmen for this case, and I'm going to level them up. And then I'm also going to do so here, and I'm going to do so here and here. So now we have a very strong military. It's going to be much easier for us to take control of more land. And what is this? We have a proposed alliance with this person right here. And I don't think that's going to work out for me, buddy, since I kind of want to kill you. So I'm going to vote no. And of course, we passed our limit again. So we're just going to go ahead and pass this land off. As you can see, it's not really part of the duchy that we care too much about. So let's go ahead and pass this off to somebody else. And I'm going to go to opinion of me, and I am going to choose someone who's not my vassal because I don't want too much power to accumulate in few hands. So there we go. And of course, due to the religion we have, we can take some consorts. It's just going to increase our likelihood of having children. It doesn't really matter that much, especially since none of these people don't have any children themselves. So I'm going to just go ahead and take some consorts at random, basically, based on the traits that are, as long as they're not sinful, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And of course, we can now do a personal sway on this person here. Let's go ahead and do that so they don't have any opportunity to rebel against us. And we're looking good. And now our military is actually looking pretty strong, even though they haven't quite filled up all the way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to declare war here for this chiefdom, and we are going to raise the military again, and we're just going to go ahead and destroy them. No problem. They fall just like the rest. And again, okay, so easy win there. So we're going to go ahead and enforce our demands, disband our military, and we're good. And then we're going to pass this one off to someone else as well. So now you look, we're actually getting quite a lot of control in this southern part of Africa here, because keep in mind, we actually have to convert this whole region of Africa all the way around. So that's a lot of land, but if we start controlling very, very early on, it's going to be much, much easier for us to expand outwards and spread our religion by owning the area rather than trying to convert a land we don't own, which is much harder. Now, when you get something like this, you're also going to want to look at things such as this one, which can increase your health, because that's going to make you stay alive a lot longer, which is very, very important for a task like this. And now where to attack next? We can, of course, go upwards here. But let's go ahead and look at what else we have. So this person is very weak, and this person is probably very weak as well. Yes, of course, they don't have that much land. Now, if you notice, I'm spending a lot of piety for some of these things, and that's because I don't have that much prestige to go around. So let's just go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and raise our military, and let's, of course, go down here. And we got another lifestyle perk. So let's go ahead and go down to the health route first, and that's another victory for us. Easy peasy. And we're going to go ahead and pass this off to somebody else. Why not you? Of course. There we go. Now, we can create this duchy here, which isn't a bad idea. You can control up to 2 duchies at a time before you start getting returns, just like you can control 4 counties in this case, though you can increase this number. But what we really want to do is I actually want to create a kingdom before I create too many duchies. So that way, if I create a kingdom, I can actually give away duchies for the same reason why creating a duchy allows me to give away counties. So it looks like my military has built itself up to be strong enough. So let's go ahead and declare war here. And we're going to raise our army, and we're going to go down and attack. And of course, this place is a much higher fort level, so it's going to be harder to siege. And we don't have any siege weapons, which is a little bit rough, but it shouldn't matter that much in the end. And it looks like my spy master has unfortunately passed away, so I need someone very, very strong so that I do not get assassinated. That's very important. And once I'm finished here, I'm actually going to try to go take this back and attack his army. So let's go ahead and attack him and take back my area. Now it looks like somebody has been severely wounded, and this is a very good opportunity for us to get a lot of learning experience here. So of course, doing this yourself is a lot harder than doing it here, but you do get a lot more learning experience. So I'm going to go ahead and take the gamble here. Well, unfortunately, it didn't pay off in this time, but the odds seem to be in the favor. So if that happens a few more times, then we should be good to go. All right, so now we win this battle, of course, and we are at war with somebody else. So we're actually going to have to send our military down here to fix this problem. And he got scared and he ran away. And of course, now we've won multiple wars, and that's going to be very good for our prestige. And now I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to someone else as well. You can have that title. Go for it. And of course, I need to reassign you as my spy master. So I'm going to go ahead and designate myself as a guardian for this child. All right, we've gained another learning point. So let's go ahead and do this. So do I want him to be fickle, content, or trusting? I think for this case, I'm going to go ahead with content. All right, now this is kind of a rough situation to be in, but well, we're going to go ahead and do this one right here. All right, and let's go ahead and continue my aggression downwards. Someone is scheming in my court. Quite unfortunate. Yes, these people are quite crazy. Oh, someone insulted me to my face. That is not a good situation to be in. And we win the attack. Go ahead and pass this off to somebody else. All right, so he has finished his task of gaining control in that region. Let's go ahead and just move on straight down here. All right, so now we're in this position where we have the ability to create the kingdom, but we just need more gold. So of course, ways to get gold: raids and attacking or taking control of areas, of course. So let's go ahead and just continue our domination to the south and just continue gaining gold passively from the regions we control. Now, this is quite an unfortunate situation to be in, since someone is in my court scheming against some of my people. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw her in jail, and we're just going to go ahead and banish them from the region. Don't have to deal with them anymore. Now we can actually look at our vassals and see who else we might want to sway. Now, of course, they all have very, very high opinions of us since we gave them land, but it never hurts to be at 100%. So let's go ahead and sway this one right here. And just like that, we win another battle. And you gotta be careful sometimes when you're taking control this quickly, because it's going to be very easy for people like this right here to decide that they might want to go to war against us, and that would be very bad. So just be careful with that. And of course, now we gotta give this land away, no problem. Let's go ahead and do it here. So impatient, shy, or gluttonous, these are all kind of bad, so let's just go with impatient. And unfortunately for this man, his raiding party has just gone out, so I'm going to wait for it to move out a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and declare war. We're able to raise our whole entire army here very quickly, take control very, very easily. Go ahead and do the humble. That's not a bad trait to have. And a miscarriage is quite unfortunate. He is trying to become my lover, no problem. So now I'm in a situation where I can't attack this person here at the very bottom because I have just gone to war against them. So we have a truce, and I cannot attack this person either because we have a truce. So now I'm kind of forced to attack some stronger people, though this one seems like a pretty easy strike to make. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that one, in fact. All right, and now my child can marry. So what I want to do now is I want to find anybody with a claim, but I don't necessarily want an alliance because that could create a problem where I'm called to war, and I don't really want to be. So let's go ahead and go with, let's see, do I control this area? No, I do not. So that is looking good for me. Go ahead and marry to this person. Quite good. All right, so now because of the implications of the possibility of this achievement, we're going to actually want to go down this learning tree. It's going to make it much easier to gain religious control over much of the region. So we're going to go down this tree, though it's not going to matter that much for this specific rush that we're doing, but if you do end up needing to reform later on, you do get this, which would then decrease the cost by an additional 20%, which is obviously huge. All right, so our control is looking very, very good here. I'm going to finish off subjugating this area over here. All right, so now we have pretty solid control straight down to the south. Next, I would probably look to expand either to the west or to the north, but to the east is going to be quite hard because of this kingdom right here. Fortunately for us, they are our ally, which is good for us right now, but that won't last forever. So this could become a problem later on. And now if we look, I have enough money to make a kingdom. In fact, we can make both kingdoms. It's not going to really matter that much because you can hold however many kingdoms you want, though it is much, much easier to not have to worry about somebody inheriting or seizing control of a second kingdom if you only create one. So in fact, we're only just going to make this first kingdom right here and not worry about the second one. And just like that, we are now able to give away duchies if we create more than 2 of them, which is excellent for us. Now it looks like they want to pay 10 gold for this ransom. That is perfectly fine with me. All right, let's go ahead and continue our domination, but this time we're going to the west. And of course, it doesn't matter too much if I gain control of the duchy because, like I said, we can give away duchies now. Now, this does cost a lot more, but we do get the duchy itself, so that is a huge bonus. We don't have to spend money to create it. So let's go ahead and raise our armies and just push them on down there. And of course, this victory is going to be quite easy for us, and we can actually create a new men-at-arms now, so this is really, really good for us. Let us go ahead and create a pikeman unit now, and let's upgrade them to their max. And let's go ahead and finish out the siege. And we should have a pretty good kingdom to boot. Very nice. Now look at that. We are looking quite well. And of course, let's just go ahead and hand on over this region to somebody who's going to hold it well, such as this person right here who has a claim that they will use when they grow up. There you go. And now let's ransom this person. Let's create this duchy right here. And we might want to give that away because now it's going to say that we hold too many duchies because we have Kibi and the one we just created, and then this one right here that we just took control of. All right, so let's go ahead and give this duchy on over to one of these people in this region. It doesn't really matter which one that much. So we're just going to go ahead and give it to this person here, and we're actually going to give them this duchy, but we're actually going to give this to someone else so they don't have too much control in one area. We do not want that to happen. So let's go ahead and give it to him. We're going to pass that vassal on over to the person who controls the duchy, but we just want to make sure that they don't gain too much control in the area. So for example, if I go here and then I go to grant vassal and I choose this one right here, then all is well. And I will of course grant her the other vassal as well, no problem. And everything is looking quite good. If you see, we're at 1300 already, and we haven't even gone into Theologian Tree, which will of course increase our acquisition of piety much quicker. And if we look at the cost of doing this faith now, it's gone up substantially, and that is due to the fact that the fervor has gone up substantially. And that's not the worst thing. We're just going to have to increase our piety by quite a lot. And if we look at the age of our person right now, we are at 45 years old, so we still have a decent amount of time left before it's too late. And of course, in this situation, I have increased the cost to the maximum. So if it does end up being too much in the end, I will just decrease some of those costs and we'll be okay. Now, if you do get into a situation where you have to pick between some poor choices here, you're gonna go ahead and look at what happens if you do so. So this one decreases your diplomacy, but you get a very bad health penalty. So that's going to be a very bad decision. If we look at this one, we lose 2 learning for becoming addicted to hashisha, which is not good for what we're trying to do with this reformation. And then if we look at melancholic, we actually lose 1 of everything else, and we get a moderate health penalty. So these are all very bad for us. So unfortunately, we're actually going to have to go with this one right here, because the -2 to our learning can be regained, where the health penalty is going to be much worse in the long run. And we can negotiate an alliance here, so that seems like the right thing to do, because they are controlled in this area, and if they do end up rebelling against this entire kingdom here, that would probably be in the best for us. So this gets broken up a little bit. It is going to be a problem eventually for us. Now what I do want to do is I do want to go north so that I don't have to worry about this guy going in and just taking it up himself. So let's go ahead and do that here. Unfortunately, as soon as you look at declaring war on him, he's very weak, but he does have some strong alliances, namely this man all the way on this end. But that person's very far away. So if we do this quickly, we should be able to take control of this whole area quite fast and not have to worry about the possibility of any repercussions here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's raise the armies and let's rush on over there. All right, and just like that, we gained control of this duchy. Very nice. So let's go ahead and disband our armies and we are good. Now, this person does answer to me, which is fantastic. So now I think it's time to actually start building some stuff on our land here. So let's go ahead and construct a market here. Okay, so you can see that I've actually conquered quite a bit of the southern part of Africa here. This kingdom up here seems a little strong, though. I think I could probably still take them. I did just take this piece of land from them, so maybe in the next couple years when I can declare war again, then I can expand more this way. But right now, I think it's better just to focus on this side of the map. And if we look at our piety, we're in kind of a situation now where we need to start accumulating a lot more of that. And if we look at our tree here, we've just finished out this perk here, which means that we're starting to be able to go down the Theologian Tree, which is going to be huge because, as I mentioned before, we get this profit perk, which lets us decrease the cost of reforming our religion by half. Now, one kind of byproduct of expanding this quickly with the religion I currently have is that the fervor of this religion is now going to go up a lot because of, how much I'm conquering around. And so my religion is going to kind of, spread, especially as I appoint people with my religion to these areas. So one thing you can help to avoid this is appoint people that are a separate religion, but you could also just not worry too much about converting people. So if we look at my council right now, I'm not converting any county to faith. So we can look down here. This county is not converted. This county is not converted, though, they still will get some minor conversion just because of how the rulers are set up and because I control the area. But that being said, it should reduce the fervor at least a little bit. And I'm just going to keep expanding my kingdom, and I'm going to start going down that tree and we'll see how it goes. So if you're at this point, you should be in a pretty good position because your ruler is unlikely to be killed just because of how strong they are, especially if your council spy master has a high intrigue. You should be in a pretty good position right now if you find yourself here. The hardest thing for us now is just going to be getting this piety high enough to reform our religion. So let's just keep working on that. And if you ever need to see where your religious fervor is at, you can go ahead and click on your religion tab here. And the fervor is at the top right of this tab. All right, so I am currently losing prestige as well. So another thing I'll want to start doing is getting this up by building some more stuff on the land I have. And a quick way to know if you can build anything on your land is going into this domain tab and then scrolling down to see it'll have some green text here if you can build anything there. So we're now seeing the problem with creating some of these alliances is now I'm kind of forced to go to multiple wars here. But in order to kind of lessen the blow of how much this is going to end up costing me, I've only sent a small number of my actual soldiers over there. You'll see that I've sent 2,400 and I can raise up to 3,900. And that's just so I can get some contribution to the war here and down here before they end up either getting mad at me or I spend too much using actual soldiers and stuff like that. Because I don't really care much if they win the war. It's not like if they get deleted that their soldiers are that important to me. My biggest concern now is simply to just keep myself alive, and I don't really need their help to do so much anymore. Another thing that's going to help us out a lot too is being able to do some things because of the traits we have. So for example, I have this mystic trait, so this allows me to do a mystical communion, and this is going to give me some learning lifestyle experience. You can do it once every 5 years. You should be doing this as often as you can. I am trolling a little bit not having done this until about now, but this will give you a lot of benefits. For example, you'll get more learning, which will increase, your acquisition of piety, but it'll also give you a bunch of experience that will be vital to doing this much faster. But it does cost some piety, so you're spending some now to get more in the future. And there are obviously times where you can become overwhelmed with stress. So something to help out is you can either go on a hunt or host a feast. Both of these, depending on your traits, will usually reduce some stress. If obviously you have traits that, like if you're shy, you don't want to host a feast because that'll increase your stress. But generally, these are good options also if you need to reduce your stress. And then also something to keep in mind is also going on pilgrimages. That will also increase your acquisition of piety quite a lot. And it'll also sometimes give you some nice traits. All right, sometimes you'll also get some peasant uprisings as well. These aren't the most annoying things to deal with because they're usually pretty easy to tackle. Just make sure that you have some troops to spare if you do come to this position. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place my troops near the brunt of them here, and then we should be fine just to take them out, no problem. All right, good. We've gained a learning lifestyle, so we can start this Theologian Tree, which is huge because we're going to need to go all the way down. And if we can finish it out, then it's going to be even better because it's going to make it so that we can get some more piety, which is going to be massive for us. All right, so now we're going to go on our first pilgrimage here, and we're going to see how much piety we have. So we have 1760, and we'll see how much we get towards the end of it. It should be a decent amount. And I did go into debt to go on the longest pilgrimage I could, just because you get more benefits for going on longer pilgrimages. So I think it's actually worth it in the end to go on the longer ones, even if you go into debt for a bit. So just like that, we get 375 piety here. We get the trait Pilgrim, which increases our monthly piety. And we're going to get the chance to get this Miracle Worker trait as well, which is also going to be really, really big. So, and we actually got the trait too. So that's actually kind of big. And as I'm known for the dedication to my faith, this now piety is just going to keep going up and up and up. So we're kind of sitting in a really good position here. Now my next thing is I want to get out of debt here so that I might be able to go to war again. But right now we're sitting in a pretty good position. Okay, so the time has come to declare war on our neighbor kingdom here, so we can take this entire county here. So we can take this entire duchy here, which will complete the one that my capital's in. So that'll be kind of sick, and then we'll be able to push, eastward after that as well. So that's what we're gonna do right now: declare war. And I want this duchy right here, and he's very weak, so you know that I'll just win this war outright, no problem. And then I'm going to move the spawn point right here, raise all of them. we're just going to go straight and attack his capital. Holding their capital is going to be huge, but not only are we holding their capital, we're going to be holding one of the regions inside the contested area, right? So these two counties are in the contested area. So just by taking this spot, we're getting the kingdom and we're getting part of the contested area. So this is going to be a huge push for towards our victory in the war, but also their king is probably sitting inside this capital. Yes, of course. So unless he's going to start commanding one of these armies, then taking this capital will give us a chance to capture him as well, which will be huge. Because then we'll just be able to instantly win the war. And see, of course, so we captured the king. So we do get the immediate victory here, which is going to be super awesome. I'm glad it was that easy for us. Normally, it's not that easy just to win a war, but in this case, their capital was right in front of us, so we got pretty lucky. So I'm going to disband my army, and so now I want to keep my capital county in the same control, because if I give the county to someone else, there's going to be a little bit of disdain that I own a county within their duchy. So I'm just going to keep this, and I'm going to start giving away pieces of other land that I own so I don't go a little bit over, such as giving this away to a person. So let me go ahead and grant this to... All right, so now we're looking good. And we are positive gold again, so you all know what that means. That means we're going to declare war again. And if we look at the possible duchies to control here, I think I actually want this one right here. So this is the one I'm eyeing. So let's go ahead and declare war here for their duchy. And I'm going to move my military a little bit closer. So it looks like this time we're going to have to work our way kind of through the kingdom here, but shouldn't be that big of a deal, to be honest. Now, you can also see that she's kind of taking control of some of my land down here. Now, normally I would care about this, but as you can see, her control of this region is so small in comparison to the size of my kingdom, whereas it's going to be super easy for me to just come through here and take these 3 counties and then be done with the entire battle. Now, something you can do if you never want to miss any of these things coming up and the ability to do them is you can actually click notify when this decision becomes available, and it'll pop up here like some of your other notifications. So I'm going to do that with this one right here because I want to do this as often as I can. Oh, and look at that. We finally have enough to get this profit trait. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So let's go ahead and now check the price of doing the conversion. Okay, since I had to reopen the game since I had done this, it reset all the things, but I chose everything that cost the most. So for these, it was anything that cost 1,500 and everything else was pretty much the same. So, oh yeah, so for these, it was anything that cost 1,500 and for anything else, it was pretty much the same. So now we're at 7,000 cost and we're not even halfway there. So this is going to be the time where we're going to really want to start ramping up this piety. So lucky for us that Theologian Tree has a lot of stuff that'll increase our piety, like the one we just got. Increased it from, I believe it was like 6.7 something to 9.2 because we got higher faith based on how many knights we have. So we're looking pretty good here. And of course, if it comes to the point where it looks like my character's going to die, then I'll just reduce the cost of this Reformation by a little bit. And that way, if you want to, say, reform the faith that way, and then in the next life, you could do it again and again and again. That's another option you could have. But I was just trying to show everyone that you could actually probably do this all in one life if you play it correctly. But the 7,000 figure is pretty high, but we're going to actually try to aim for that and see if we can hit it. And so you can see we've gained control of a significant portion of Africa at this point. So much so that we're on par with these other larger kingdoms over here. So our power is looking really, really good here. And our piety is looking like it's starting to slow down a little bit, but that shouldn't be too big of a problem because one, I have this seek the aid of the spirits and hold mystical communion, and then I also have the ability to go on a pilgrimage in the next 3 years, so we should be looking okay for the time being. Although I did just get sick here, which is kind of bad, but it's okay. Our doctor friend there just kind of took care of me, so that's great. All right, and I've stopped spending piety to go to war, so now I'm just trying to save up prestige because I'm about halfway there, and I feel like if we're going to be coming up on trying to purchase this Reformation, then we shouldn't be spending any more piety at this point, because my ruler is getting kind of old. I do have a lot of perks that increase her health, but in the end, she could possibly die kind of soon, so I do want to save as much piety as I possibly could. And in fact, I care more about building up my infrastructure right now than actually going to war, so I'm also going to be spending my stuff on that instead. So at this point, it looks like we might not declare any more wars in this lifetime, but in this one lifetime, we are able to start with just 2 counties and build our way up all the way into this kingdom, which is a pretty good start considering we're going to have to take over all of Africa. But we did all of this in one single lifetime, so we should be looking pretty good here. All right, so unfortunately, I just got the news that I will be dead within the year, which is quite unfortunate, but nonetheless, I am going to reform the faith here. So I'm just going to drop the price somewhat until I can actually afford to do this Reformation. All right, so you can see that even though we had to reduce the price a little bit, we were able to do a pretty decent Reformation within a single lifetime. And if this isn't the last level of the Reformation that you want, of course, you can do this again in the next lifetime. But if you're just going for the achievement, just changing a single thing is enough to get the achievement. So this should be a good enough example for how you might go about doing this. Now, in retrospect, I got a little bit ahead of myself and I forgot to do some of these decisions that would have actually made a pretty significant difference. So don't be like me, be smarter, do all of your decisions, make sure that you get the faith you need from your pilgrimages and from any other of these other decisions, and from any other decisions that you might get, like Mystic Communion and Seek the Aid of Spirits. So make sure you're doing those, and you should actually be able to get up to 7,000 in a single lifetime. Of course, it's pretty hard, and sometimes we failed in some of those one-off events that could have given me a lot more learning lifestyle experience. That would have been pretty big, but you know, that is the beauty of this game. You kind of roll with the punches until you can get what you want, or at least pretty close, like we did in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and finish out this Reformation. And just like that, we are now a new reformed religion. Now, if I was going to play this out for the achievement, I would continue through this area, taking control and converting different areas to my religion until I was able to get all of Africa. But that's all for the guide. Thanks so much for watching. If you thought this was helpful or you just enjoyed hearing me talk, then please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel. I will be doing other Crusader Kings 3 guides, and I do plan on putting out guides for other games. For example, the new Age of Empires 4 is coming out on Saturday, so I'll be doing some first impressions of that, as well as probably putting out a guide eventually once I get the hang of that game. I've also been meaning to get into Humankind, so I'll be doing some of that stuff. So if you really like these 4X games, I'll be doing some more of that. And I also do a lot of videos talking in a much more like thought-provoking way for gaming. You should go check out my channel if that sounds interesting to you. I have a lot of videos up already, so consider go looking at my channel. But yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone. Peace.